Welcome to another episode of the For the Love of Cricket podcast with Jim and Akim. Today we'll be previewing the second semi-final of the 2023 Cricket World Cup between Australia and South Africa. It proves to be quite an exciting encounter. I think we'd all hope South Africa wins the toss and bats first and give Australia quite an interesting target to chase. Otherwise, Australia will win easily, in my eyes. What do you think?
I think it will be a very interesting game. We clearly know the strengths of South Africa. They definitely prefer batting first. I think that they have played probably more consistent and better cricket than Australia in the tournament. But the Aussies are the Aussies. They're a fair team around the world. They have the championship know-how. They've won the World Cup many times and they know how to get it done on the big stage. South Africa are known as chokers. They have the chokers tag, and they also are known for losing to Australia in semi-finals. So I think this will be an interesting one, and what will make it even more interesting is which side the coin lands on.
Quinton de Kock comes in this game in second position in the most runs tally for this tournament. He is currently 120 runs behind Virat Kohli. We would all think that he will be the trendsetter for the South African batting unit. Do you think he gets another 100 in this game? And if he gets 100, what do you think South Africa's prospects will look like?
Quinton de Kock's innings will really decide how South Africa goes. He is in very good form in the tournament. He has the second most runs. I think if he gets a century, it's very likely that South Africa will post a score that is greater than 350. He scored a century against Australia in the group stages, so he will be confident of scoring big runs against this bowling attack. He will be familiar with what they have to offer. When you look at the Aussie bowling lineup, they have not been very penetrative inside of the power play, and that is where Quinton de Kock does most of his damage. So if Quinton de Kock can bat to the 10th over and not be out, then Australia are in for a serious game, and he will be on 40 or 50 and looking to hit that white ball all over the park.
If Quinton gets going, those fifth and sixth bowlers for Australia will come into play. Speaking of fifth and sixth bowlers for Australia, Stoinis has been in and out of the team and playing that role. You think he keeps his place in the team tomorrow?
I think I would go with Labuschagne in this game. When you look at the balance of the Australian team, Travis Head and David Warner are really two guys that take the attack to the bowling team. Then you look at Mitch Marsh at 3, who is also a very dominant player. He scored a very dominant century in the last group game. After him, you have Steve Smith at 4 and Labuschagne at 5, who I think are probably two of the better players of spin in the team, in the squad. And then after that, you would have Inglis the keeper and probably Maxwell. So that is the balance of the team that I would look at going on. Stoinis hasn't really set the tournament alight with the bat, and his overs have not been great either.
You mentioned Labuschagne. Well, in the test match arena, he is pretty competent, probably one of the better players against spin, but in this limited overs tournament, he has struggled to get off strike.
Yeah.
He's been soaking up a lot of dot balls, especially in the first 3 or so games where Australia struggled. He got scores of 50, but we don't know if it's because the wickets were falling or he just couldn't score the spinners, but he was scoring at a strike rate of 60, a strike rate of 65, and it was not good enough. Since then, he hasn't featured much in the tournament. Tomorrow might be a very important game for him. If he gets in, he'll have to be scoring against Maharaj, who has been excellent in this tournament. What do you think of his performances thus far?
I think Maharaj has been brilliant in the tournament. When you think about South Africa, you generally think of exciting fast bowlers with a lot of skill and seam. You think about the likes of Rabada, you think of Stain from a previous generation. You also think of Sean Pollock and Alan Donald from the generation before that. Maharaj has really held his own in this tournament. He is now the #1 ODI bowler in the world, and that's on the back of some solid performances in this tournament. I think he has bowled with a lot of control and a lot of guile. He's picked up some very key wickets. I don't think he has taken probably a fifer in the tournament, but he's been very consistent in his returns and in creating pressure. When you look at the South African bowling lineup, you look at the likes of Kagiso Rabada and Gerald Coetzee, who I think is a genuine wicket taker, somebody who makes things happen when he bowls. I think you need a bowler like Keshav Maharaj who will provide some balance, who will keep the run rate down but will chip away and probably get 1 or 2 wickets inside the middle overs. And he's a very important part of this unit.
You mentioned the young speedster, Coetzee, currently on 17 wickets in the tournament. I think he's the 5th highest wicket taker at the moment. We've been pretty impressed with him so far. He reminds us, he does a job similar to what Liam Plunkett used to do for England, but at higher pace and with more energy. How do you think he will fare in tomorrow's game?
I think he has the potential to do very well. He is an exciting bowler, as I've said. He hits the lens very hard, and I think a major key with him is that he picks up wickets very early into his spells. He generally gets going pretty early because he generally pushes batters back and probably takes them by surprise with the energy and the accuracy that he bowls with. At times he goes for a bit of runs, and that generally tends to happen with bowlers with that bowl at that sort of speed, but he is a wicket taker and he's somebody that will look to destroy the Australian middle order in the middle overs, and that's an important phase of the game for South Africa if they're to stifle Australia.
Coming into this game, we know Australia has had a very strong top order. Their numbers 1, Travis Head to a lesser extent at number 2, and number 3 with Mitchell Marsh scoring at 177 in the last game has been very strong. They also got probably one of the best one-day international knocks from an Australian middle order player in Glenn Maxwell with that double century he got against Afghanistan, rescuing the team from 96 for 6. That showed some good signs for Australia. They won't just crumble as we have expected them to do leading into the tournament and up to that point. Do you think Maxwell shows out tomorrow? Do you think Mitchell Marsh gives us one of those brilliant innings again? I think we can count on David Warner to get a score.
I think Maxwell probably is the man that will hold the key for Australia. When you look at their team, you look at the top 3, they're all pretty quick scorers. You look at Steve Smith and Labuschagne, who will probably play at 4 and 5. Those two will strike at about 85 to 90. And then you look at Inglis, who will probably come in at 6 or 7 depending. You look at Glenn Maxwell. Glenn Maxwell is the player who has the potential to score at 140, 150 towards the end of the game. In the last game, he started off pretty slowly because of the situation, and then he ended up scoring a double century off about 130 deliveries. I think his strike rate for the tournament has been around 145, 150, which is a rapid rate for these conditions and compared to everybody else in the tournament. His innings will be crucial, and it will be the deciding factor, I think, between Australia getting probably 270 and 280 or getting 340. I think 270, 280, South Africa will really fancy themselves, especially if they are chasing. We know that they're not a strong chasing team, but they'll back themselves to get 270. 340 with a Maxwell blitz, it makes it a completely different game. So I think his innings at 6 or 7 will be the key phase of the game.
Yeah, Glenn Maxwell is probably danger number 1 for South Africa in this game. He has the ability to score comfortably at a strike rate of 130, and he averages about 40 in one international cricket. He is one of the rare players, probably the only player that we've seen that has been able to do that and score more than 2,000 ODI runs. Your thoughts on David Warner up top?
David Warner is a legend of 50 over cricket, of white ball cricket, in my opinion. Not only in my opinion, I think he will go down as one of the all-time great white ball batters. He is prolific for Australia in 50 over cricket. He's won 2 World Cups, I believe. He's won a T20 World Cup. He has won the IPL. He's gotten the most runs in the IPL on a number of occasions. I think about 3 times. He is a master of 50 over cricket. When you look at this team, I believe that he is the leader of the batting unit. His runs are very important. His innings is very important. And he is the man that will look to set the tone for Australia. It's very important that he gets a score for them, because I think his dismissal could probably send shockwaves through the team. We know that the middle order has proven to be a bit fragile and pedestrian in the tournament, so they rely heavily on numbers 1, 2 and 3 to get them off to a good start and to score quickly. So I think David Warner's innings will be very important. I back him to get a score tomorrow. He's a big game player, so I'm excited to see him go.
Adam Zampa, what do you think the South Africans' approach to getting past that threat will be? He's currently the leading wicket taker in the tournament.
How Zampa goes, I feel, will depend largely on how Quinton de Kock goes. I think if Quinton de Kock gets through the power play and gets a big knock, then he will be somebody that takes the game to Adam Zampa and will score. That being said, I think Adam Zampa has really come into his own in this tournament. In the first 2 or 3 games, he was not great in my opinion, but he really turned his tournament around with consistent performances, and he is up there. I think he's 2nd or 3rd on the wickets charts now. He has bowled with very good control, good flight, good variations in pace, and I think he has been used very well by the captain, Cummins. His control has been good, and what has been most important about him is that he has tried to pick up, and he has successfully done it. He's picked up wickets in the middle overs. It's all good and well to have a spin bowler that comes in these conditions and bowls his 10 overs for 40 or 50 and picks up a wicket and does a holding job. But when you have a bowler like Zampa that comes on and takes 3 or 4 wickets in the middle, it completely destroys the middle order of the other team, and it really pushes the control of the game to your team.
Outside of Quinton, who do you think will fire for South Africa in the batting tomorrow? We know there's injury cloud over Temba Bavuma. I think he will play. Who do you think will step up?
I think it's very important for somebody like Klaasen to get some runs tomorrow. Klaasen scored a century early in the tournament, and he also had a knock of 90. But since then, he hasn't really gotten a big score. I like seeing him play against spin. I think he's very dominant. He's very quick on his feet. And I think he's also somebody that could pose a great threat to Adam Zampa. When I look at this South African team, I think they are very good, numbers 1 to 4. Even if you exclude Temba Bavuma, I would say number 1 with de Kock, number 3 with Rassie van der Dussen, who is a brilliant one-day cricketer, and number 4 with Aiden Markram. I believe that 5 and 6 have some question marks. Klaasen has been in good form this year, as well as David Miller, but I really question how they play or how they structure their innings if South Africa is in early trouble. I believe that they're the perfect batters to come and bat with South Africa with a platform at probably 200 for 3, that sort of score, 220 for 3 with 15, 18 overs left, looking to push the game on. But I am not very confident in them, with South Africa being 40 for 3 after 10 overs. And if they're faced with that scenario, it's going to be interesting to see how they go about things.
Interesting you say that. Which team would you be comfortable with at that score? Not even India.
That is true. But I think India, when you look at their team, they have batters that have probably proven more capable of repairing the situation. I am not that confident in the abilities of Klassen and David Miller to do that.
Who do you think will be the pick of the bowlers for South Africa?
It's a tough one. I think Kagiso Rabada, he's one of my favorite bowlers. He's one of my favorite fast bowlers. I think he is the leader of this attack. Maharaj is number one in the world right now, and Janssen has been having a very good tournament. But I think KG is the man that they look to, and he's the man that has to set the tone. If Rabada bowls well, I believe that the South African unit will bowl well.
You realize Rabada doesn't open the bowling, so he could come on and the score is 70 after 6. You think he'll pull that back?
I think he has the capabilities to pull that back. I have all confidence in Rabada.
I think the tone will be set by Marco Jansen. Tone at the top.
He's been very good in this tournament inside the power plays. He probably is up there with wickets in the power plays. He probably has the most wickets in the power plays in this tournament, and he is a key part of the team, because if he can strike early and get David Warner, Mitch Marsh, Travis Head out, it's a completely different game.
As long as he doesn't try to bounce Mitch Marsh, he'll be okay. Because he's very, very severe on that pull shot. With all that being said, who do you think will win?
I think that the occasion will get to South Africa. I think the Aussies will do it.
Alright, we shall see.
What's your call? Who do you
My
think?
call? One strokers, always strokers. I think, in my eyes, if South Africa bat first, they will lose as well.
Yeah.
But, benefit of the doubt to the statistics say they should win. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I think this game will really be decided at the toss. Whoever wins the toss and does what they want to do will have a good chance of winning this game. That's my opinion. It's going to be a close one to call. But if I were to pick somebody, I think the Aussies for the championship know how.
Don't forget Mitchell Stark, guys. He'll be back. Anything else to add?
That's all from me.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys.